Hey everybody, welcome to Workforce Gaming. I'm Brad, here with Doug.
Hey.
I got to play what should have been my most anticipated game of the year because I love Marvel stuff. So I just made it through Marvel's Avengers,
Mhm.
which is a very, very interesting game.
Yeah, I think you were not. Yeah, when you give me your hype day. It was announced weird, but I just feel like it started off on the wrong foot of being announced as like corporate handshake and CG trailer.
Day it was announced, I was perfectly fine with it because in my mind I went Crystal Dynamics, good Tomb Raider games,
Sure.
Avengers, good thing I like.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it. We don't have much, but you're excited about it. I'm excited about it. Let's be cool. Um, when they first showed it off, I went from like, oh boy, they're gonna show Avengers, they're gonna show Avengers, to like, oh god, they showed Avengers real quick.
Sure.
Um,
Yeah.
and then I actually played the beta a couple weeks ago, and I think I played the beta for about 2 hours and went, oh man, this isn't gonna be good, is it?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I
That's
played the
yeah.
game, and the first like hour or two of this game are incredible. This game, I have never had more of an up and down feeling about a game than I have with this game.
Sure.
This game goes from being like one of my favorites of the year
Okay.
to like one of the most boring things I've ever touched in my life over the course of like 45 minutes.
So,
It's
so
crazy.
yeah. So I guess the question. So is there's a lot to dive in with just those two with that statement. Is it so? I guess okay. So I guess what are the interesting parts to you? Are the interesting parts when you're
So,
playing? Are the interesting parts when you're watching? Or is it kind of mixed?
a lot of watching.
Okay.
So the story is so good.
Yeah.
Everything about the story is really, really well done.
Hmm.
And that's actually what I want to focus on. So I basically played this as if it was just a pure single player campaign, and then I spent maybe 3 or 4 hours just messing with stuff afterwards.
Sure.
That first about 10 hours of just playing straight through the campaign
Hmm.
feels really, really good. The basic story of Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel, going through and kind of like picking up the Avengers and the way that she interacts with everybody is
Hmm.
just flawless. You actually start the game as like 10-year-old her
Yeah.
in that A-Day mission walking around and just like you wrote a fan fiction that got nominated as like one of the best Avengers fan fictions. And you're just like,
Are you playing like a Marvel dork? Is that like
yes,
the
yes, you are.
okay?
That's who she is. So you're like walking around and you're like at that 8A scene that they showed off 150 different times, and you're just walking around and you're like, okay, I've got to go look at this. I go, oh my god, there's Thor, and she's like, it's Thor. It's oh my god, and it's like that perfect like level of just pure exactly how you would feel. And like, oh my god, it's Captain America. It's Captain America. Hi, Captain America.
Like if you met Captain America,
Yes,
sorry, is
if
that
like
kind of a thing?
yeah, if like 13-year-old me was walking around in the Avengers, we're just like, hey,
Oh,
read your
that's very
fan
cool.
fiction. Really good work.
That's super. That is really cool.
And then from there it goes on and just like the way that she interacts, and you slowly kind of do the like normal video game thing of like, oh, you're friends with the Hulk, and then Tony Stark
Sure.
shows up, and then you meet up with Black Widow, and
Are
it
you
kind of
enjoying
does.
these things because they're? It's kind of hard to turn off because I feel like asking you like, oh, did you like Jedi Fallen Order? If there was no Jedi in it, sort of thing. I guess the question is, are you enjoying these things because the Marvelness in you is like getting like is like peaking when you're saying like, oh, that's Iron Man, but we've seen Iron Man a million times. Does it matter that you see Iron Man this time?
Um, I I don't know. I think it's a lot of that just because of the way that she sees all these characters, and
Sure.
they're fairly well spaced out. Kind of towards the back third of the game, you get like the last couple like real quick, like boom, boom, boom. Okay, these people joined your team, great. But
Mhm.
the first couple, you meet up with Bruce Banner first, and then you meet up with Tony Stark. They're done like in really, really good ways, where like you're going and you're exploring in almost an Uncharted Tomb Raider nature.
Sure.
The first hour and a half, I think there was like two fight scenes other than that big 8A mission that they showed off a couple times.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was just like, okay, we're gonna go try and find this. Oh, I've heard that this is over here. Oh, I'm an Inhuman now, so they're gonna try and come and get me, and I need to escape the city.
Mhm.
All of these different things where you would normally do in like an Uncharted, where you're going flying down rooftops, swinging over to the next building, running across rooftops, going like running through a park.
Yeah.
All of those things you see in those games are what happens in the beginning, and those feel really good. And
Okay.
then you meet Bruce Banner, and you're like, oh, okay, now we're getting into more of the superhero things, and like you go on a road trip with Bruce Banner.
Yeah.
And it's just like this thing where it's like, oh, let's go, and she's like pumped, and she's like playing with the radio, and they're like really well done cinematic pieces in the middle where it's you can feel this connection from the characters, and they actually give the characters a little bit of depth to, oh my god, like we killed Captain America, and kind of the story revolves around, did you kill Captain America? Did you not kill Captain America? Did he sacrifice himself? Was he like backstabbed and like, you know what I mean? Kind of that whole situation. So these characters kind of have a little bit of that guilt of like, we ruined the world.
So this is all stuff that you like, but this is not gameplay. This is not gameplay. You like the.
Oh yeah, the story is great, and again, like the set pieces in there. There's a couple of really cool set pieces where you're doing things. The ending actually is really, really well done. And again, just running across the city, these set pieces. There's a couple in the middle that just pop in, and you're like, whoa, this is really, really cool. And again, those scenes that feel really cool feel like they could fit in a Tomb Raider game. Not a beat 'em up action game. So the best parts are the parts that don't fit into what this game's trying to be, or at least what this game was advertised as.
So are they just like set pieces that are you saying like, oh, I like the set pieces of this and the cutscenes, or like is it mechanically fun as well? Those scenes that you're talking about.
Mechanically, it's fun for a minute. It's not something, and again, this is where the flaws start coming in with this game, is that it wants to be that Destiny game where you're playing it for hours on end and you're coming back every single day. The gameplay is fun for like the first couple hours, and then you kind of realize, oh, it's just mash your combos. There's not much to it.
Sure.
Mash your combos, get your hero powers to build up, use your hero power, mash your combos, build your hero power up, and you just go through that loop. And all of the characters, because you can kind of interchange them at any point, are essentially the same thing.
Yeah.
With minor differences, but for the most part, it's okay. Every single one, light attack, heavy attack, throw something. Every single one has those same generic things, and it gets real old.
Do you ever feel like powerful? Because I felt like the Spider-Man game made you feel like a superhero. Like it's like he felt strong but there's no level up. I mean, there's a level up system sort of in that game, but it's more like Spider-Man is just a badass guy, and it's fun to do cool tricks with Spider. And obviously, I know that combat isn't as developed as those games sort of thing. But do you feel powerful? Because I always thought the Destiny thing was a weird thing to put with like characters that are inherently supposed to be powerful already. Like, does it?
It feels bad.
It's okay.
So a couple of things with that. My first issue is there should be a difference between Black Widow hitting somebody and Hulk hitting somebody.
Sure. Okay.
And very rarely does that feel different. It very much feels like, I mean, they've got a couple where Hulk can like launch them a little bit further, and their special abilities are where the main differences come in, where Hulks are like big area of effect attacks that smash a whole bunch of people, and Black Widows are more like, oh, I turned on my invisibility. Yeah, but
that's like MMO RPG mechanic stuff. It's not like his skill makes him feel like the Hulk. It's just like, oh, he has a good AoE. It's like, well, that's not
exactly, okay. And that's the issue, is that the generic what you're doing 80% of the time feels the same across the board. So whether Hulk throws a rock at somebody or Black Widow shoots somebody with a pistol, the same thing happens. You feel the same. So you never get that feeling of like, the Hulk, I feel like I should just run through and smash here. In the set pieces, you very much have that feeling.
Oh, that sucks. I mean, that's good, but that sucks.
Because there's like, you'll be running with the Hulk and it's just be like, I'm going to plow down these walls, I'm going to rip this out. And then you get there and you have to hit a security guard 4 times with the Hulk. And you're like, I just pulled that building down. I had to hit you 4 times.
That's a delicate balance, I think, with powerful characters. I feel like even like New God of War sort of ran that issue where it's like, why I am the God of War, why does it take me 10 hits to kill this guy? But it's like mechanically, how do you make it work if the guy's the Hulk?
and that's the thing, and that's where I think, had this been a pure single focus game where you go, this is your couple Hulk missions, this is your couple Black Widow missions, and you can go, okay, the Hulk's running through big giant robot factory, so there's 800 of these big giant robots for the Hulk to fight, and Black Widow's like just sneaking into like a business, you know what I mean, or something like that, or corporate headquarters, she's sneaking in there, so it's just generic security guards. I think that's how you could get it, where you don't have that huge power level. But like I was taking down like a big flying warship with Black Widow in the same amount of time it took me to do it with the Hulk.
That sucks.
It just doesn't. It takes you out of the game so much when you're like, Hulk smash, slap, 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 smash. Okay, there we go.
Oh, okay. And then Black Widow, she had also has a 5-hit combo that ends
that
with the
does
same result.
essentially the same damage. And I think
That sucks.
that's where it really starts to feel bad. And again, like you mentioned, the power levels, which you don't see in Spider-Man, the power levels, I I'm not a fan of Destiny style power
Sure.
levels to
Yeah, yeah.
begin with, and it's just they don't add anything.
Yeah.
This game is not better for having them. It's more irritating for having them.
Sure.
But it's not better or worse. It's just this one irritating thing where before I pick a mission, when you get to especially that end game stuff, I have
Mhm.
to look and go, oh, that says plus 32. Better not do that one.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
one.
yeah.
And so I think that's where it just got irritating, where it's just all this is just here to gate off content and to make me feel like I want to play the game more.
That
It's
sucks.
serving it's
It seems
serving
like the worst case.
yeah, it serves no purpose in general of what's going on. Again, you're fighting the same enemies, they just have a bigger number next to them, which is part of the reason why I don't like this. That that security guard in this mission, because you replay the same areas a lot, because again it's got that. I
Hmm.
keep going to Destiny because that's the one, but any of
No,
those
that's fine. That's
any of
totally
those style
accurate.
games, you keep going back to the same area. Well, that security guard was a 12 before, and now he's a 22, but it's
And
the same
it's the same
security
number of
guard.
hits to take him out too. It's so
Exactly,
annoying. It's the problem
because
with Destiny. Yeah.
yeah, the game levels with you. So I think that's more of a complaint of the style of game this wants to be, more so than the game itself. Because I think that's just inherent in every one of these games like this, is that because that levels as well, and because it's not like you're unlocking new areas. Once you finish the game, you've pretty much seen everything.
Sure.
I didn't do all the end game, but I did a few here and there, and nothing new popped. So assuming you don't ever really see anything new after that,
Hmm.
I think if you unlocked some bigger areas and you kept kind of going through it like that, I think then maybe that factors in and feels a little bit better. But because I'm still going back to the same level one, mission one, where I was at a power level of 3,
Sure.
and now I'm at a power level of 50, nothing feels different. It's the
Nothing
same.
feels different.
It's exactly the same.
That sucks. 'Cause I think the thing that makes it like almost worse is that there's like you're like you keep saying it's like there is a good game that I keep playing that I keep going back to, and then I have to go play this game for a bit, and then go back to the good game, and then I have to come back to this game for a bit.
Well, and that's the thing, is that the good game, that single player campaign, it really almost feels like you could take out a lot, because a lot of the ways that it works is you'll play as Miss Marvel for a level, and then you just met the Hulk, so you play as the Hulk for a level, and that level will feel more tailored to the Hulk, where it's like, okay,
Oh,
there's
okay,
a couple
sure.
more Hulk style enemies here. You still have the same thing, but there's more bigger robots here. There's bigger things here for me to fight. And
Yeah,
then,
yeah.
okay, we'll do a Miss Marvel mission. We'll do a Miss Marvel mission. Now we're doing a Black Widow mission where it's more sneaking around, and
Hmm.
there's much more just human based enemies. And because that feeling is there, like, oh, this is a smooth way, that when you start seeing, because there's a couple parts where you have to do the generic, like, oh, we gotta go rescue the whatever, or go control this
Go sit on
point.
this point for a few seconds. Yeah,
Oh yeah, this game loves having you sit in places.
that
Um,
sucks. Why?
and
No, that sucks.
they're long too.
Yeah,
They're like, you have to sit on this point for like 2 or 3 minutes, and it's
yeah.
just they're so done by the end of it. But it just, yeah, there's that's my biggest thing with this game, is there's so much good in this game. And
Yeah,
it's one of those games that I feel like 6 months from now or a year from now, I'm gonna look back and go, that Avengers game was pretty cool.
yeah.
Forgetting that all that other stuff is there, because the set pieces are good, because the narrative of it as you go through is so strong and has some really, really high moments. Those low moments, I think, are just going to fall out because they're just not memorable. It's just a half hour of smashing a button.
That Yeah, that sucks because that was like the big concern about like this whole game to begin with. Like every character is going to feel the same. Like how can you do these things with like all these characters at once in the same place? Like oh, they just made them all feel the same, and that just
Yeah,
yeah,
and
that's
it
a
just
bummer.
it.
But I mean, okay, excluding the gameplay. I mean, is like was the Marvel fan in you? Was there like a lot of cool
Yeah,
nods and stuff?
yeah, and there's a couple of cool things where like you go and pick up comic books, and there were like a couple where you pick it up and you're like, oh, like they're actual, like the covers of different like iconic covers. Like one of the first ones I picked up was like, oh, that's one of the covers from Jason Aaron's run of Thor, and it's like, oh, yep, okay, it says it right there. Yep, that was 2014 Jason Aaron. It gives you like all the comic
Oh, that's pretty cool.
details.
Yeah.
Um, so there's a lot of cool stuff like that. The one thing that I will say was another big disappointment is the villains in this. There's one, two, three villains, like like Avengers villains.
That's like half of the Spider-Man villains in the latest
Yes,
Spider-Man game.
yes, exactly. And that was the thing. It's like you fight one the one that they showed, Taskmaster, right, is
Yeah.
A-Day. Like, you fight him way up at the beginning. They showed MODOK as one of the main villains. He's way at the end, and you get actually, they showed Abomination in the beta, so you'd seen all of the villains that are going to be in this
Oh, that
game
sucks.
before it even came out. So you like that whole
Yeah.
thing where like, oh, you fight Taskmaster, you fight Abomination, MODOK's the main bad guy. Like, who else are you going to put in this? And it's like, oh, every other boss is a big robot.
That sucks. That sucks.
Except for
It's funny too that like Taskmaster isn't like the final like. It's funny because from what I understand, Taskmaster is like the tutorial boss, which is like
Yeah.
very not Taskmastery.
he gets pretty much no explanation. You fight him as Black Widow, and like you said in the tutorial, and it's just her fighting him, going like, "Oh, you certainly learned some of our moves, Taskmaster."
Oh boy!
And that's
Oh,
about
no.
the only hint you get at his power and like who he is. Like if you didn't know Taskmaster, you're just like, "Who's this dude?" And like, you learned our moves. Oh, we must have fought before, I guess, or something. And you remember, you know what I mean? You don't get the cool Taskmaster backstory.
Of like how cool Taskmaster can be. Yeah.
Exactly. So that was the other huge thing, is like the Marvel fan of me was like, at least give me something. And there's like weird nods, like you talk to Maria Hill, like there's lots of references to a couple other characters here and there and other things, but the vast majority of the big moments are those three. And again, because you get into that Destiny, go back to this area and do it again. They have these villain things, and I was like, oh, this is cool. Maybe they're gonna give me a new villain. And it's literally like, go fight Taskmaster again.
Ugh, gross.
Ooh, if you go to this mission, looks like Taskmaster's up to it again. Go fight him again.
You know what's really funny is like, you know, the thing that they're going to keep adding to is going to be that piece though. Like they're going to keep adding to the multiplayer piece. Anything in the future is going to be that more multiplayer stuff. That sucks.
Yeah, and that stuff just leaves such a bad taste in your mouth. Like I don't think I picked up gear until like 2.5 hours in. I didn't pick up a piece of gear. And then after, like, once you pick up that first piece, it's like, you like gear.
Oh,
you
shit.
want all the gear. Go find the gear. And the game,
That
as you're
sucks.
going through missions, has like the little like things off to the side. And it'll be Jarvis will come in your head and go, "Ooh, there's a good chest with gear over here somewhere." Like, I don't care.
That sucks.
I
That
want
sucks.
to go here.
It's funny because like in Destiny they kind of justify it in that like you're a nobody and like you're like really scrapping for stuff. It just doesn't make any sense. I can see the executive decision to make the Avengers a Destiny game. I can't see it from like any other reason.
It almost works with Miss Marvel because she's like, this is her like introduction to her powers. Like you can kind of see it there, but like this is with like the Avengers are established world saving heroes at this point. So it's like Tony Stark picking up a piece of gear and getting a little bit more powerful and unlocking Tony Stark's 50 skills. It's like Tony, like the basic story is they've taken a few years off. And maybe he's a little rusty, but
they
like but it's not even like they depower him. It's just like narratively he's been taking time to go like do his own thing because he feels so guilty about A-Day.
Yeah.
But then like you get him. It does do a couple cool things with like, I guess maybe it's only him and Thor where they kind of come in and like because they haven't been there, like you play as Tony Stark for the first time in like this like just broken down suit that like is not like he's got like a fighter pilot helmet on instead of like so again it does really really cool things.
But that's not normal gameplay stuff. That's more like
that's just like generic cosmetic that pops on you for one mission, and then if you want to you can throw it back on later. So it's just it's a lot of just
did you like it?
I honestly don't even know because
it's funny.
It's one of those games where in my mind I'm just sitting here going like I can sit here and tell you so many cool things that this game does.
Yeah.
And then I can also sit here and tell you how bored I was over and over again trying to play through this thing.
Yeah.
Because like I said to start with, there are moments in this that I'm like, this is one of the coolest games I've played in a long time. Like the way that you did this is so cool. But then it's a half hour of just square, 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 triangle, square, 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 triangle, superpower. So I have a hard time even deciding if I like it or not, just because, again, I love the main storyline. It's fantastic. The way everything goes, it's so good. But it's just, there's so much junk thrown on top of this. I think if you went to Crystal Dynamics and said, make an Avengers game like you make a Tomb Raider game, this game is so good.
Sure, yeah.
But it's almost like they're like, oh, Crystal Dynamics, you make cool Tomb Raider games. Here, make this. And then like they got like, oh, well, we got this cool set piece. And then you're running through the city. And then you meet this player. And they're like, yeah, but what if... Have you seen Destiny? and that's where I feel like
This
That's where I just
honestly it
feel like
sounds
the disconnect
exactly what
is.
happened with Deus Ex, the latest one, where they have this
Yes,
weird random multiplayer like not
yes.
deathmatch mode. Like, why is this in here? And apparently it was because of an edict that came down from on high. So it's like this just keeps happening.
It, it feels like the late, like right around 2010, where every game had to have competitive multiplayer. It didn't
And now
matter what your
everything
game
needs to
was,
have Destiny.
and now everything needs your gear, your loot, your all
Yeah,
this
yeah,
stuff. So it's one of those games where I feel like it's just, as a Marvel fan, playing through the main story you can get through. There's some boring moments, but that general like 9 to 10 hours of just that campaign are probably the best Avengers game out there.
sure.
Probably the best. Well, I was gonna
Oh,
say
that's not.
superhero.
I mean, it's the only one.
I was gonna say that was too specific, but I'm trying to be more general without going well, but Spider-Man and well, but Batman
Oh, sure. Yeah, there's two other
Arkham.
very good series. That's very funny.
If you
It's the
take out the
third
art,
best superhero game on the market.
if I will say it's probably the best Marvel game I've played out. Oh no, because Ultimate Alliance is better. It's okay.
So this is Workforce Gaming. If you guys like it.
Follow us on Twitter at Workforce Gaming. Subscribe to us wherever you're listening, and we'll see you later.
Bye.